Hey guys, my name is Austin and I'm the webmaster at awfulmedia.com. This is the second video in the tutorial series on learning how to create your very first website from start to finish. If you did not see the first video yet, please click the link on the screen now. Right there. Click that link. Okay, before we get started, let's go over the layout design we're going to try and achieve with this website. We are going to use the usual right-hand sidebar content. In this video, we're going to try and get the header container finished, the right sidebar container, get the main content container, and get the footer container. I did not illustrate it here, but we'll just improvise once we get there. I'm sure we will not have enough time in this video, but in the next video, we will put together our logo and navigation, our main content, and our sidebar content. Okay, before we do anything, we're going to go to our desktop here and create a folder for our website. So right click, new folder. I'm going to call mine My Website. Go ahead and open up your folder. Now we're going to make another folder within that folder for our images. Go ahead and just call it Images. And for now, that's all we're going to have in that folder. So inside our notepad, let's go ahead and get started with our website. The first thing we're going to do is save this blank page here as our index.html. So go File, Save As. Let's go to the desktop and find our folder, My Website, and let's make it index.html. Hit Enter to save. Then we're going to make a new file, so go New, and we're going to save this one as our style sheet. In the same place there, we're going to call it style.css. So what are these two files here? The style.css is a file that will contain all of our styles for all of our web pages. The index.html is going to be the home page or the landing page for our website. The way the style.css page works is you have an external sheet that defines all the styles. So let's say you want your links to be white. And I could go on this page here and I could define for this page, directly on this page, that I want the links for this page to be white. But let's say I have 100 pages on my website and I want to change my link color to red. Well, now I have to go through all 100 of those pages and change the link colors to red. That's not good. We don't want that. That is no fun. So what we do is we have all of our styles stored within one file. And then we link to that file from all of our pages. So all we have to do is go to this one file, change the link color here, and all of our other pages get updated. Okay, so in index.html, we're going to go ahead and start structuring the website. But how do you begin when you're creating a website from scratch? Normally, you would start by declaring the HTML version or type of HTML you're going to be using throughout your web page. So let's go ahead and do that. All you have to do is simply define which document type you're going to be using. And since we're going to be using HTML5, we have the latest, the leanest document type there is. It's as simple as open bracket, exclamation point, doc type, just like that, HTML, close. That's all there is to that. Now the browser and the code validator will know whenever it's crawling our page, hey, this guy is using HTML5. The next step is setting up the tags for the page. The first tag we want to start with is our HTML tag. We are going to go ahead and open up that tag and close the tag. Just like that. Everything we do on this web page will be done within these two tags. So let's go ahead and make some space in between here and get our next tags going. Our next tag is the head tag. The head tag will contain our link to the style sheet we made earlier, and it will contain our page title, our page description, our keywords, things like that for the search engines. The next tag is going to be our body tag. And that's exactly what it seems like it is. That contains all of the meat for our website. That'll be where we put our header, our footer, our main content, our sidebar. Anything we want the visitor to see goes within the body. So the first tag we're going to use within the body tag is going to be our container div for the whole website. It's going to contain all of the other elements within our website. This way we can define the width of the main containing div, and all the other divs will follow along. So we're going to say div and div. Just open and close the div tag. I'm going to come over and enter down so we have some space in there. The next thing in line will be our header, the masthead for the website, the first thing you see, the part that contains the logo, the navigation, things like that. And in HTML5, you have a new tag just for defining headers. And that is very simple. That's exactly what you do. You just say header, header. The next thing we will define is the main content area. We are going to use another HTML5 tag for this. It's going to be the section tag, because we're sectioning this area of the template and saying all of this is together. All this belongs together. The next thing we'll have here, the next thing we're going to use is going to be an aside tag. Aside is defined as the container for content that is relative but is not completely necessary for the flow of the page. Because our sidebar is going to have content that will relate to the main page, to the main content area, but it's not going to be completely necessary. The page will not rely on that content. It is just bonus content for the user. And the next thing we're going to have here is going to be the footer. Now all four of these tags that we have just used are HTML5 tags only. They do not exist in prior HTML5 versions. For now, let's fill the tags with some dummy content so we can see how everything's working. Okay, let's hit Control S to save that. And let's go to our folder here and open it up in our browser, and you can see that everything is just stacking. That's because we've not told these elements how to act, where to go. So we are going to go ahead and do that now. So the first thing we have to do is give a unique ID to our div. So inside the tag there, let's go space ID equals quote quote. And inside the quotes we're going to give it the name. We're going to say this is the wrapper. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is link in our external style sheet to this page. That way all the styles on style.css will affect the elements on this page. To do that, we go to the head tag, Let's make some room here. We open up our bracket. We say link. And then we define the relationship between the file we're bringing in and the file we are currently on. And the file we are bringing in is this file's style sheet. So we type rel for relationship equals quote quote, and we say that's this file's style sheet. We then want to tell it where it can find that style sheet. So we'll go href equals quote quote, and we'll tell it where that style sheet is. Now our style sheet is within the same folder as our index page. So we don't have to go through any folders to get there. We just have to say, hey, it's style.css. It's in the same directory as you are. We're then going to define the type of file. So type equals, it's a text file that contains CSS. And close that off. We're going to Control S to save that. Now we are going to go to our style.css page and define the styles for this page. The first thing we're going to define is the style for the wrapper. We want the wrapper to be in the center of the page, and we want the wrapper to have a specific width. How do we target the ID for the div? You use the pound key or number key, hash key, whatever you want to call it. Then you type the name of the ID. And it's just wrapper. And then our styles will be within these two curly braces, or whatever they're actually called. I like to enter mine down and have space under the ID where my styles will stack. So the first thing we're going to do is define the width for the wrapper. And it's as simple as width, colon, space. And we want the whole website to be 960 pixels. We are then going to try and make the wrapper center within the browser, and in return it will center all of our website elements. And to do that, you have to define margins. And when you have a browser that you never know the actual width of, you don't know if their browser is going to be 2000 pixels wide or 800 pixels wide. You still want to have it try and center itself within the browser. And to do that, you have to tell it to have the margins to automatically expand or shrink depending on the size of the browser. So we'll say margin right is auto, so it's automatic, and the margin left is auto. Now let's hit Control S to save. Go to our index page here and open it up. And you won't see anything changing here because our browser is actually pretty small here. But if I expand the browser out, you'll see that it's coming off of this side here. That's because it's centering itself within the browser. Now let's define the styles for the header. Now the header is not an ID, the header is actually a tag itself. And to target a tag with CSS, you just type what the tag is. It's header. Let's define a height for the header. Just like that, and we're going to make it 150 pixels for now. Let's make a background color for the header so we can make sure everything's working here. Just going to use red for now. Hit Control S to save. Bring up our website folder and open up the index. And we can see, fix the browser there. And we can see the background of the header is red and the height is working. Now let's position the section. We're going to want the section to be to the left of the aside. That's going to be the sidebar, and this is going to be the main content. So we want section to be to the left and aside to be to the right. To position the section on the left, we have to float it to the left. So what that'll do is it'll allow objects to move around it to the other side, because now the section is floating to the left. So we want to say section float left. Let's add a background color so we can see how it's working. Control S and F5 to refresh. Now we can see this is the section, has a green background, and it's to the left of the aside. Okay, now we want to define a width for the section, and we have 960 pixels to play with. We want the section to take up the majority of the website, so we're going to use up most of the 960 pixels. Let's do width 650 pixels. Control S to save. Come into the browser, F5 to refresh. And that's exactly what we want. Let's add a height. The height will be temporary just for the layout, because if we have a height, that will limit our content flow. So what we want is for the height to not be defined so that the section can expand if the content gets longer. But for now, just for demonstration purposes, we're going to use a height. There we go. You can see the footer is now on the right as well. That's because the footer can fit next to that, and it doesn't have any attributes defined for where it should be. And we're going to take care of that here in a little bit. For now though, let's go ahead and define the styles for the aside. Now let's tell the aside to float to the right. And we'll give it a width. The width will be the remaining pixels, 650 out of 960, so that leaves us 310 pixels. There we go. Notice nothing changed there. Let's add a background color. Control S, F5. Okay, everything's working. Let's give it a height. Another temporary height there. And there we go. Let's go down to the footer. Now in this one, we're not going to want the footer to float anyway. We're not going to want anything to float around the footer. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, there's nothing that can float to the right or to the left of me. So we're going to say I want it to clear both sides. That means nothing can float on the left or the right of the footer. Give it a background color of orange. And a height of 50 pixels. There we go. The website's coming together nicely. We have the basic layout finished. It's ready to be tweaked and filled with content. In the next video, we're going to get into the logo and the navigation in the header there. And if we have time, we'll get into the main content in the content area, the green area here. And then eventually we'll get into the sidebar, the blue area. And then we'll get to the footer. Everything's going to eventually be done. I cannot tell you when we're going to get to it. There's just a lot to do. But it's all really simple, and you're going to be able to do it no problem on your own.